only see 4 people in Irish Albert, but what's up? Morning to you. What's up there, Ellie Wynn? Nice to see you hop on. Got back from a friend's house, got a few drinks, so feeling pretty good. And somehow I got lots of energy, so let's do like an hour of space, and then I gotta go to bed, prep for this week. Hope everybody's had a nice weekend so far. I think I got the mic fixed tonight. I got a AC power adapter for the vocal pedal, so it shouldn't crap out on me. I got a very wibbly wobbly Jupiter setting in the west, but really cool configuration of moons. Just turn up those settings so you can see them. Got Ganymede Callisto at the top, left to right, and then I want to say it's Io is the one floating in the center, and then Europa is off to the right. Yo, what up there, Duplicat? Good to see you today on that Electric Universe show. The Electric View. So, finally made contact with those guys. It just so happened that I just so rarely am on at that time, and I happened to be on just checking some comments and got on the Electric View. I didn't get on that show, but I got in the chat, said what's up to them, and who else? I think Kronos was there. This guy does this interesting Proto-Saturnian stuff. I really just found out Kronos' channel, and See the Pattern, I think, might have been there. Electric Universe Eyes, a couple other people who run, I think, Greg J's channel. So that was pretty cool. I don't know, I haven't really interacted on a chat in 3 years, 4 years, ever since beginning days of TakeBackSpace. So y'all know I kind of stay out of that stuff, but I had to say what's up to them. I mean, I've been shouting them out, and they clearly don't know I exist. What up there, Outdoor Corey? How you doing? Glad you made it. So anyway, connection made. We'll see what happens. I think I just encourage those types of channels to grow and have interesting chats about future science, interesting ideas, plasma cosmology, of course, and to dissect things and really just open it up. Just more of that polite, interesting discussion. I think I got 10 new subs maybe, but I really, you'll probably know I'm really shy, and I don't want to I'm not out there to evangelize or get subs, so I just really wanted to let them know that it's cool, what they're doing is cool, and especially today, I happen to be on when they're talking about electric scarring, and I'm all about that. So I felt like it was pretty serendipitous that I was on, and I don't know, maybe I'll get in touch with them, or they'll just discuss topics and they'll be able to use footage from this channel. That's sort of what I've always wanted. I kind of wanted people who are into conspiracies or space or whatever to use actual footage when they talk about things. So obviously I can't get super close up, CG close up, but super telescope close up, of course. But I always think having video of the moon when you're talking about the moon is always much better than Google Images search or just random NASA old school photos. Especially things like Jupiter right now. If you're talking about Jupiter historically, you should be looking at footage of Jupiter today. Does that make sense? I think to me that would be it would feel more contemporary and feel more realistic. I think I've kind of gone through those rabbit holes of image search for planets and moons, stuff like that, and you turn up with the same shit over and over and over, or I don't know, it just doesn't feel real. And then I know that's such a broad term, but it's that kind of distortion and atmospherics and irregularity and just the momentariness. that's not even a word, but like just it's hard to really quantify what it is, but it's like a juxtaposition of different values with the sound and the feeling you get sitting under the stars and recording that. You know, the camera is in that environment, in that radiation. All the experience that's coming from the people watching, like right now, space, like my grammar's out the window, so whatever. But like the fact that like 12 people and me are watching Jupiter through this digital technology is, you know, matters. Like it does. I know that people don't want to think, like some people think that that's pseudoscience or whatever. I think that's 100% real. Like we're actually affecting, or at least interacting directly with massive planetary bodies through high-level technology. It's very empowering, and yeah, we just don't look at life that much like that anymore because keeping people down is easy to, they're much more susceptible to advertising and selling, but in fact, we're very, very powered. Who else here? What's up there, Jax? Welcome. What's up, Justin? Hey, thanks, man. Isn't it like a cool moon configuration tonight? I'm glad I happened to like just get home and the moon is rising, and what's not interesting, but what sucks sort of is there's the door between the scope and the moon, so it might be hard to get a moon shot tonight, but definitely gonna get some Jupiter, definitely some Saturn, and I can probably swing it around and see, like, perhaps we can see through the glass on the door. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know, those are some ideas late night. Yeah, so I got home, super cool moon configuration. I was just setting up these labels so we can see what they are. Top left, we got Ganymede, and then Callisto. What up, Callisto? And then we got Io right in the middle, point of the triangle, and Europa hanging out by its lonesome. Yeah, so I was on that Electric View chat room today. I was throwing them questions, and I know like it's probably hard to kind of maintain that whole thing, but I just love that. I think there were like 28 people on, and it just felt like really completely different than most chat rooms when it comes to science or debate or anything like that. And I really am going to say it again, Thunderbolts Project should do live streams like daily. I'm just putting it out there. Live streams with Pierre-Marie Robitaille, with Steve Crothers, with Andrew Hall. Who else? Peter Mungo Jupp. Although he, like, I don't know, people don't react really well to Peter. He's freaking funny and awesome. Like, dare I say Wall Thornhill. Also, yeah. I mean, Don Scott and Wall are just going to be really tough to get. But anyway, EU in the house. So what do y'all say? You want to stick on Jupiter, or should we go check out what Saturn's up to? I'll give y'all a minute to answer while I have a little smoke. Turn up these tunes, set the vibe, set it. Let's move into deep space. I mean, yeah, no big deal. A billion miles in the blink of an eye. All right, so I'll stay with this Jupiter shot for a little bit because it's setting, and kind of we'll miss it, I think, if we let it go much more. You can see the kind of aberration pushing around Jupiter right now. That's due to like just the density of the atmosphere when it gets low. All right, what I'll do is I want to just read through and not like ruin the vibe, but I just want to kind of just go through these headlines when I type in Jupiter planet news, for example. And this is just like, let's just do it a few nights in a row, perhaps. I'll just do it on the next few shows, and we'll just see what kind of the common headline is for space in certain areas. So let's just do Jupiter now for a few. And I'll just talk a little bit about kind of my pet peeves about it, not really in a negative way, just more in a what we should expect and what kind of like misdirects us and is misinterpreted perhaps. So anyway, just going through Jupiter planet news. Says Science magazine says Jupiter-like planet shows signs of moon formation. In star system PDS 70, approximately 370 light years away, a planet covered in a disk of dust and gas appears to be growing a moon. Digital Trend says astronomers have spotted a moon forming around a proto-Jupiter. Astronomers have spotted a young planet with a disk of gas and dust around it, similar to one from which moons of Jupiter were born. Universe Today says, here's a first. Astronomers see a moon forming around a baby. Live Science. Juno finds mysterious, unexpected currents crackling through Jupiter's magnetosphere. All right, this one's interesting. So, unexpected currents. This is the totally like veiled electric universe cosmology in a public pop-sci article, for example. However, you have this whole mysterious kind of vibe, you know, obviously. But they want to, I guess, just form the way you're about to process the information. So Juno finds mysterious, unexpected currents crackling through Jupiter's magnetosphere. On Jupiter, as on Earth, auroras are so there's this whole kind of cadence with it. I'm really just trying to figure out how to articulate it while being a little tipsy. But really, it's just more about an attitude and fundamental like approach in writing headlines that is to kind of attract people to try and click on them. And I know it seems really stupid, but that type of writing when it comes to science is really unproductive and doesn't allow for proper debate of concepts. That's really what I wanted to say. Let me jump back to the chat, see what's going on. I know I was pausing there for a second to just like really grasp it, but it's a simple concept. It's just like clickbait headlines or attractive headlines skew the way people will view the article. And especially if it's about discovery in space or physics or anything like that, like quantum mechanics or relativity, it's just veiled and mired in this type of language that is sales pitchy in a way. And I think there's an argument for both sides. I think people will say, like, you have to get people to click on it. This is how you get people interested in science. Yo, what's up, Reptilian? How's it going? Let me just jump back to chat, read a couple of things, and I'll go back. Anything I'm down for? Cool. Duplicate says 24/7 EU streams would blow up. Need something other than all those how the universe works brainwashing. I mean, can you imagine? Like, that stuff, it's completely irritating. Those multi kind of channel 24/7 live streams of old space footage or space renders. It's yeah, it's very irritating. There's a real lopsidedness to it. there's nothing wrong with that stuff. For like I don't think that stuff shouldn't exist, but there certainly should be an EU equivalent. I mean, honestly, I try and do it, but I mean, I've always just kind of entertained the EU theory, mostly, but, also my other stuff. And, yeah, kind of, here's a little platform for looking at space, like real stuff with EU. I feel I'm so not eloquent tonight, but it's all good. Breaking news, the moon is shrinking. Is it though? Like, I was asking that today. I was thinking like the moon was just growing. In fact, I was kind of taken aback by some of these articles. Let me go back a little bit because I'm losing threads here. So, first one, Jupiter-like planet shows signs of moon formation. That's actually a pretty good headline. But the Jupiter-like planet implies this, the fact that it looks like the Jupiter we're looking at right now. When in fact, I really think the data, for example, that you would get from the large telescope wouldn't give you the kind of detail that we see on Jupiter. So I think, scientists or science writers apply these types of adjectives or descriptors like Jupiter-like planet to kind of evoke a reaction in people. And this is not highly offensive, but it does actually mislead because it implies that scientists can see a planet in an exosystem. Let me lower this a little, actually. I feel like I'm competing. But it implies that you kind of have this visual of a planet that's 370 light years away. So I think what's a light year is supposed to be something like, is it 4 trillion? Let's check what a light year. 6 trillion, 24 trillion, 6 trillion. All right. So 370 times 6, that's like 1,800 light years, 1,800 trillion miles, so 18 quadrillion miles. And so you can't really see objects that far away. They basically just look like dots on a screen. In a way, they look like Jupiter's moons do to us now. And so I think like saying something like Jupiter-like planet while a part of the protocol and the way you do write a descriptive headline really doesn't do it justice in terms of science. That's a take. I more complain about the moon headlines. Things about planets and stuff, like, you can't really help people. Nobody really knows that much anyway. But I was at that headline about the unexpected currents crackling through Jupiter's magnetosphere being relevant in the EU. Let's go to a couple more, and then I'm going to head over to Saturn. It says, a National Geo says, this is our best look yet at Io, the solar system's most volcanic object. Io is one of the 4 so-called Galilean moons of Jupiter. So Io right now is the middle right here. Let's highlight it since we're talking about it. All right. So Io is one of the 4 so-called Galilean moons of Jupiter, along with Europa. Alfred McEwen, a planetary geologist at University of Arizona, dare I click on this? Dare I? Okay, roughly 40 years ago, the Voyager spacecraft sailed past one of Jupiter's large moons, and it revealed something amazing. The rocky moon called Io is a volcanic champion, featuring the first erupting volcanoes seen anywhere other than Earth. Some of its 100 of fiery craters are many times more expansive than our largest cities. Io's powerful eruptions can produce plumes of epic proportions, sometimes reaching heights of 300 miles. All right, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but where are these images? I think I know what they're talking about, right? So here's the image. There's this image of Anyway, I'm not going to show Nat Geo article. I don't want to do that. But there's a plume that looks like a volcano, but in fact it's actually referenced in some of the EU videos, but it definitely looks like a plasma arcing tornado coming off of Io. And Io's disappearing. Jupiter's just setting. All right, trying to do a lot. It's late, let's jam. Boom, new song. Happy Honey Big Bear and Fantasy and Z Proxy just showed up. Good to see y'all. Good morning and cheers. I'll toast. Y'all had a few drinks tonight and they're still with me, so I'm toasting with my whole body. Tapping my head against the mic. Cool, man. We got a full room. I switched it over to Saturn for a bit. I think my tracking is a tiny bit off tonight, but still. And same, it's kind of a bit dim on the planets. I feel like Saturn is pretty far. That's how I feel. I haven't really checked the numbers on it, but I feel like it's probably at its apogee. Is that correct? Alright, so apsis denotes either of the two extreme points, the farthest or nearest point in the orbit of a planetary body about its primary body. So the farthest point from the Sun, dubbed the aphelion, and the nearest point the perihelion. And that's different. The apogee and the perigee is our moon, I guess. A lot of reading. Alright, typically there are two apsids in any elliptical orbit. Anyway, I'll look that up at some other point, but pretty much I feel like having filmed Mars and Saturn a bunch, I noticed that sometimes Mars feels like it's really tiny in the scope, and now that Saturn feels the same way. Yo, what's up, Arwen? Electric View did have some interesting photos today of developing Saturn's moons and those rings. I never saw those before. Yeah, I agree. I really need to go back and watch that show again. Anyway, I'm gonna just chill with y'all a little bit. I feel like listening to music and shutting my mouth. So ask me any questions, but let's be jamming. Yo, yo. Alright, we got a cool Saturn configuration tonight. That's really sweet. Tried to get all the names in there, but there are a couple more moons, of course, but that's what I got. Got Titan shining brightly, bottom left corner, Tethys, Dione, Dion, or Dione, and then Rhea. Gotta love the Saturnian system. In fact, you can just see it like that at a touch of a button, roll of a dial. Roll of a dial. I gotta write a song called Roll of a Dial. Sounds like a person. Roll of a dial. No, I was gonna say, Arwen, cool. All good stuff. Don't, you're not pestering me at all. I'm a super duper nerdy music geek student of all music types and things and instruments. If you check kind of my streams and like albums, even the albums are kind of old, but like really my streams, you'll see I ad-lib a lot. I like really rough production. I like completely bucking the way current music is done, which is produced, like, I think in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that music is way too overproduced today. People do too many takes of things, and things are too layered, although I really love layering when it's organic. And then things are also compressed in ways that are really unnatural, give no dynamics to the mix. And then you have auto-tune, which is just completely, the entire music industry is mired in auto-tune. And even if they could sing, and even the rappers that can rap, just their actual vocal frequency and vibration just feels so lazy. That's the only way I can describe it. It just feels extremely lazy. So I try and write music that's really from the heart, off the cuff, and as best I can in the moment, and take people on a journey and like be somebody who can grow and become better and also fail like spectacularly in front of an audience. So I've learned a ton of how to play and write, and like I just started, you know. So TakeBackSpace has been this outlet for my music in this way that I never could have imagined. I just did it in a way I was like, oh, I can write beats, I can play some, I can shred, and what if I write all this music for this space show that I want to do? And then I ended up writing like hundreds of songs. It's only been like 5 years. I feel like a lifetime of writing has transpired, and every year I think, oh man, there's no way I'm going to write any more stuff. Is that even possible? And then so far this year I've written like 20 odd pieces that I really dig, like you've heard a couple of them. And I love receiving feedback from people, even like really negative feedback, just because it teaches me how to grow. Anyway, that's a lot of insight as to how I think about it. Anyway, still watching Saturn up in here. Yeah, I think like, I know that nerds don't have a bad rep anymore, but there is a lot of stigma around being smart, or geeky is also a really strange word because it just implies like a visual of a jaw, of like a weird angled neck. I don't know why. Geek is just like oddly symbolic. But when you get rid of those labels, you just kind of have, you know, people who are polymaths are into a lot of different ideas and different skills, and they want to talk about it and obsess over it. And I think it's fine. People obsess over weird shit. And I feel like astronomy is one of the least weird things to obsess over. But it seems really, people are not really interested in astronomy that much. Or at least surface level astronomy is fine, but anything deeper than, oh, did you see that like whatever channel show, and I'm like, have you seen what Jupiter looks like for yourself? No, but blah 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 said so and so that maybe, and I'm like, have you seen the moon up close? Like, well, no, but I saw the show and show from the bro and bro who said he knew that the universe started. So I'm like, just gotta change that shit. Oh, I wish it were that. It's sort of crispy. It feels crispy, but we haven't even checked out the moon yet, and I have a door between the scope and the moon. So we'll see if I can get through that. 2:45 a.m. down here in South Florida. More space, more electrical energy flowing through the sky. Alright, let's do some badass, old school TakeBackSpace beats when I first started the channel. Checking out 750 million miles into deep space. We got Saturn with a super cool configuration. Kronos, what very likely could have been the original birthplace of Earth, the Earth birth. Alright, so in a second I'm going to check out, see if we can see the moon through the window. did it go? Come back, echo. Alright, so that's the moon through the door. That's that cool chromatic stuff happening on the left. Diffraction patterns through the kind of screen door window. And I think also the pane of glass as well. But still, it's a shot of the moon. What's up there, Miguel? What's up, Western Pennsylvania Skywatcher? How you doing? Duplicate, love that comment. Love it. It's true. Mostly. I have my rough nights for sure. Lately I've just been working on my chords and I don't know, time signatures really. Lots of new time signatures in the songs. Scroll up a little bit. So Reptilian's got 2 guitars. I can play them basically not real good at all. Haven't touched them in years. Foolish me. Well, never too late. I always encourage friends and and people who've never touched an instrument to always try and play guitar. Give it like 1 month and see if you hate it. But if you don't, then it'll change your life. It teaches you discipline, modesty, and then it gives you this power that most people don't have. It's a very interesting art. And then, yeah, so do that, especially if you have the guitars. Jen Perry says, do I ever see anything strange? That's like a really broad question, and yes, of course I see everything seems strange. And also, I think you mean like on the moon or in space streams, but that's also kind of a broad, I'm a little distracted by this music. It's a little bit broad as well because I filmed for a long time and I've seen a lot of strange things actually, things that still just I have videos of and I can look at and I think like, I have no real idea what that is. I've gone back and researched a bunch of them and still you turn up kind of empty with current day technology. And there are not a lot of people who come on those videos and or watch those videos and comment and leave me really substantial evidence one way or another. So in terms of strange, you can check out some of my old transit videos. You can check out the lunar wave and pulse video, the Jupiter pulse, the Saturn transit recently. There's so many videos where something happens like a flyby or a meteor, an asteroid, or a craft of some sort. Not like really necessarily a UFO, but potentially man-made. So strange is a lot of things. And if you met here on Earth, then a lot more things. Hammered Dulcimer. Oh, what's up, Barry Axeblade? I saw you today at the Electric View show. That's cool. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Just get some tunes on in the background. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching the show today. I'm not usually online then. So I happened to catch it, and then I realized like there was a group, I guess like Greg J, Kronos, Electric Universe Eyes, See the Pattern, and maybe a couple of others, right? That kind of already are aware of each other, and of course the Electric View. So I'd been watching some of the videos from all the different channels and then recommending it to my crew over here because I think it's just good to get it out there and like have those discussions and talk more about things. I've been following EU for quite a while. Yeah, I kind of just put the links in every one of my videos and try and mention Halton Arp every show. I think it's just this lost information that people are not looking into. It's just very hard to find. The videos are super low views and further, really interpreting some of those talks from Halton Arp or even the Electric Universe stuff is actually really complicated for most people who haven't really entertained thoughts like that or don't have a grasp on math or physics in any way. So I feel like there has to be a bridge between that. Ingve. Wait, am I missing the whole chat here? Let's see. Jen Perry, yeah, check out the old stuff. Ask me questions. Happy to answer. Yeah, so like what's really cool about having this stream is that other people watch things pass in front of the moon. Like all the lunar waves except for one were caught, or lunar pulses or whatever. The Jupiter wave was caught live. Almost all the transits and satellite passings were caught live. So I find that instantly corroborating, and people can catch things that I can't because sometimes I'm watching the chat or I'm doing something, and so there's kind of collectivized version of space observation something that really just doesn't exist. Obviously, I'm not the only moon stream, but compared to like how many streams there are of other things, having like, what is it, it's P&K, Chris Parker used to do it, Carolina Sky Astronomy. There are a bunch of channels that do moon footage, but really like hardcore streaming space regularly is like a tiny fragment of what YouTube really has. And so I think it's kind of like every day I think about it, and every show that I do, I feel like it's just super, super crazy important work, even though maybe it's not to everybody. To some people, including me, like having this is so important. So anyway, for anybody who's wondering why there's this crazy haze around the moon and weird diffraction patterns as well, is because I'm viewing it through my screen door on the back porch. Unfortunately, this is the only view that I have of it. Otherwise, I'd have to move the scope like 5 more steps down or something like that. And I'm not going to do that tonight. It's too much work. So this is the shot of the moon we got. It's still very pretty, waning gibbous. I think it's like 60 odd percent. Let's check that. There are definitely times I trail off on thoughts, so if anybody catches me on something and wants me to finish my thought, please ask me again. Mostly because like I'm keeping track of, you know, the scope and the remote, Stellarium, the chat, preview window, my surroundings, not falling off this damn chair. Alright, so what was I looking up? I was looking up luminosity of the moon. 75, damn. Alright, cutting right into Mare Serenitatis, halfway into Tranquillitatis, and yeah, I'm gonna say Theophilus. I just want to say Theophilus for the sake of it. Yeah, Jen. So the moon is really fascinating. What I've kind of been doing for a long time is really isolating particular regions on the moon and discussing their significance in terms of alternative science, or maybe needing like a second look into a lot of the talk around returning to the moon or going there for the first time revolves around, you know, why is it important to go to the moon? What's the significance? And so, you know, besides the fact that there might be helium-3 or water, there are other factors which indicate that the moon is more than just like a dead rocky surface. So right now it's really damn hazy, but it's covering this whole region called the, well, I call it the Golden Triangle, but it's right off of a right-angled triangle made up of Aristarchus to the top left, Copernicus to the bottom right, and then Kepler crater to the bottom left. And there are electrical filaments connecting them in a way. Obviously they're not connected, but they happen to have occurred in the same region. Therefore, like when the kind of dendritic patterns emerged from the central point, they kind of all coalesced into creating this really very interesting shape together. Right in the center of this large basin called the Oceanus Procellarum Basin, which is a huge, what was supposed to be like a chunked out piece. You know, you see these animations of how the moon was formed, and they really kind of yada yada through a couple of parts. Look, like the big one is the formation of Aristarchus crater and plateau, and then the sinuous rill in it called Valles Scrotari. They just kind of yada that. And same thing with the formation of Oceanus Procellarum. They showed the moon getting bombarded to the degree where like nothing would be left, and then somehow it retains shape and then fills up these basins with lava or basalt or certain types of magma, and then it cools, turns into these dark darker regions, and then regions like, then apparently things like Copernicus, Aristarchus, and Kepler are impacts that occurred post this period. So it's a very interesting line of questioning where you start to think, like, is that really how it happened, or is the moon a thick shell, you know, and the really, like, the lower part of the shell is this kind of green, dark, iron-rich, titanium-rich regions. The upper high ground is the kind of whiter regolith that we see that looks kind of battered, and then these dark mare are just like eaten away, not eroded, but kind of like eaten away by discharge, like carved away, revealing this darker surface. And features like Copernicus, Kepler, and Aristarchus remain surface level. There's no need for, you know, what I'm implying is the fact that the impact that would cause Copernicus would blow a hole so deep into the magma that it wouldn't exist the way it does right now. Now, obviously, the shot of Copernicus is not very clear. Typically, my shots are much clearer than this, but I gotta do what I gotta do tonight. I definitely had that book, I think, the Yngve Malmsteen anthology. I still think Black Star is probably his best track. Not just Black Star, the actual take of Black Star on that album is just one of the best solos put to metal. The other, here, I'll give you like a few solos that are best metal put to record. Blackmore on Catch the Rainbow, 1974, Germany. What's the other one? Is it Lloyd Pye from Caravan doing No Backstage Pass solo? Or is it Richard Chamberlain? It's one of the two guys from Caravan doing that solo. What other solos? Let's see. Gilmore, High Hopes on that slide guitar, the end solo. And one more, let's find one more. Big and Deep, could go Prague. What about, what about Steve Vai doing, what's that one? Tender Surrender. That solo is pretty wicked. Alright, y'all, so I said I was going to do an hour. There's an hour 10. Feeling good, but I'm going to head to bed. I'm a little too blitzed to go any further. Thank y'all so much. Good to see the new people here. Buried Axeblade. What were you saying over here? Let's see. Buried Axeblade says, I think the moon is a deliberate construct that was placed as a shield between Earth and the god planets when the orbits were passing by every few hundred years until we settled down. All right. I can hear that. It's pretty fascinating. I think there's some sort of story when it comes to the interplanetary capture of the moon, since the size of the moon would deem that it would have powerful enough grasp to actually do its own sort of capturing of Earth as well, depending on the size of Earth at the time. That's a whole like kind of, and today I was thinking about the whole like growing of the moon from a seedling into this kind of what we see it today, this really thick shelled, possibly hollow bodied object. And how thick is the crust really? That was a question in the Electric View chat today. But I was going to say something and I was like, man, I don't know. But if we think that these craters are something like 20,000 feet, then what is the surface something like? I know, it would be really hard to gauge. I can just visualize something where there's some sort of etheric matter that separates the core of the moon with the outer shell. But beyond that, what kind of measurements could I actually give? Give a shout out to y'all in the chat. Happy Honey Big Bear, Reptilian, Jen Perry, Fast Paced, Buried Axe Blade, Ellie Wynn, of course, as usual, the Peruge, Cuddles to Wingsley, and Nathan Thompson, sorry I missed ya. Western Pennsylvania Skywatcher, peace out, Duplicat, stay electric. And anyone else watching tomorrow, I hope you have a good day. See y'all soon on another chat. Stream to space.